Fartcoin is again on a massive run. What's driving the current rally? Who is buying, who's selling here? Let's have a look at the on-chain metrics. Let's try to figure out what's actually behind all of this and if it still makes sense to buy Fartcoin at the current prices. Now we are currently at $1.30 and we went up by more than 500% in the last month. Now this is not the first video on Fartcoin on this channel. I published several before and I want to share how much attention those videos got. Here's the very first video published 72 days ago. Initially not much attention, then the video started to perform somewhat average. So the average video is here in gray and the specific Fartcoin video is this line in blue. Another video followed 60 days ago. That one pretty clearly underperformed. And a third video 42 days ago, again an underperformer. But there seems to be a turnaround. Yes, the recent video isn't necessarily an absolute hit, but it tends to perform a bit better than the video prior. So there was reasonable attention at the beginning, then that dropped down and now it seems to recover again. I think there's an interesting explanation for this, but more on that later. Here's the price of Fartcoin when the very first video on this channel was published. It was at around 5 cents and I will share in a second how I figured out about Fartcoin that early. Because now we are not at 5 cents anymore, now we are at $1.30. Now if you want to be early with meme coins, then feel free to follow this channel over here. I publish videos regularly and I try to find the tokens that have positive momentum but still have a lot of upside as well. Now Fartcoin is the second largest trending token on the Solana blockchain. It's got a liquidity of 21 million, barely behind the Pudgy Penguins token. It's still, by the way, double the size of AI16Z, even though the market cap is only half of the size. So this tells us that AI16Z tends to be more owned by the centralized exchanges and that there's less liquidity on chain. Now Fartcoin has almost 62,000 holders on chain on Solana. Let's have a look at those holders. How many of them are retail investors? How many of them are whale investors? Who's buying, who's selling? On the left side, we've got the retail investor. On the right side, we've got the whale investor. And in the middle is something in between. And the way we make this distinction is by minimum holding thresholds. So to be counted for the chart on the left, a wallet has to hold at least 1,000 Fartcoin. For the chart in the middle, it's 10,000 Fartcoins. For the chart on the right, it's 100,000 Fartcoin. And so since Fartcoin is a bit over $1, that also approximates roughly the dollar amounts. So 1,300, 13,000, 130,000. We can clearly see long-term accumulation by retail. We can also see accumulation by medium-sized retail, most of it happening still in the early days when the price was still very low. And we can see how the whales finished their accumulation already at the end of October of last year. Yes, the number of whales is not net falling anymore, but it's also not rising. Since the 24th of October, we've definitely seen a lot of retail investors still getting in. The number of retail investors almost doubled during that time. Now, what is interesting though is that in the last month, Fartcoin went up by more than 500%. The number of retail investors in the last month did go up, but definitely not as quickly. So we've seen growth of roughly 20, maybe 25%. That's it. The retail investors tend to grow the fastest. And so how is it then possible that the price of Fartcoin goes up by that much? I believe it's the centralized exchanges. I believe the reason why there's now a second wave of attention on Fartcoin is promotion by the centralized exchanges. Initially, we simply had the organic growth, right? A lot of small retail investors getting in. Now we see a second layer of growth that's triggered through the centralized exchanges. So now the price discovery does not necessarily happen on chain anymore. It now happens on the Binances, etc. of this world. Or to be a bit more precise, it happens on BitGet, on HTX, and MaxC, on KuCoin. And of course, there are also perpetual futures, so levered bet on the price. And that's now dominated by Binance. And here we see really where everything is happening. 1 billion almost worth of trading volume in the last 24 hours. So if you enter a long contract on Binance and Binance covers this, you are moving the price significantly. So really in the last month, we haven't seen much organic growth, but we have seen the price going up. And that's because of all of this new leverage in the token. Now, most gains are to be made when a token is still new, when it's not owned by the market makers yet, when it's not owned by the centralized exchanges yet. It's much better to buy a token like Fartcoin, for example, for 4 cents or for 5 cents. So have a look at this. This is Kyle Chessy that bought 20k of Fartcoin on the 23rd of October of last year. That was over here. Since then, the price appreciated by more than 2000%. Here is Kyle Chessy. He's a YouTuber. He's got 141,000 subscribers. And we are tracking 12 of his wallets. So through on-chain analytics, we found out some of his wallets, and we always get an alert whenever he is buying or selling something. So of course, when he makes a big purchase and then he announces this across his community and everybody buys in afterwards, this can create quite a bit of a flywheel effect. This can create a lot of momentum. And so being early with purchases like this, right? Tracking the influencers directly and seeing when they are buying and selling is real alpha. This is, I believe, where we can actually beat the market. Now, Kyle Chessy has a bit of a venture capitalist approach. So not every token that he buys will do a 2000% return. He does buy many tokens and some of them simply just go to zero. The idea is simply that the winners are so large in their magnitude that they can make up for many, many losses. If you've got one 2000% winner, then you can afford to have 80% of losing bets simply because the other 20% make that much of profit. But we are not just tracking Kyle Chessy. We are also tracking Crypto Banter. That YouTube channel has 1.1 million subscribers, so they definitely create a lot of attention and purchases with the video. We've got 33 of their wallets. We're also tracking more DeFi focused channels like Bankless, for example. We've got 2 of their wallets, and we're trying to find new wallets daily. Now there's a tutorial course discussing how to find influencer wallets, how to then also track them, and how to finally interpret the signals that we get from the tracking. It's 8 videos in total, and it's all part of the premium membership of this channel. It's down below, thebitcointrader.com. Premium is not just about wallet tracking, it's also about on-chain analytics. It's also about risk mitigation, more than 100 tutorial videos in total. Once we've got a buy signal by the wallets, we of course also have to discuss what should we copy trade, when should we exit, etc. That's why we've got dedicated chats on the individual altcoins as well. So feel free to check it out. It's currently $165 per month. There's also a 1-week money back guarantee. So in case you don't like premium, in case you don't learn anything, etc., feel free to just message me within the first week and I refund you 100%. There's really zero risk for you. Now, does it make sense to buy Fartcoin right now? I believe that the current rally is not necessarily organic. There is a lot of leverage through the centralized exchanges, and the centralized exchanges try to generate some attention for that volatility, right? The more volatility there is in the price, the more trading happens, the more trading fees are getting generated. But I don't believe that this is the right token to be in. I'm not saying that the price can't go any higher, but what I am saying is that whatever is happening right now is not just adoption. I believe most upside is in the tokens that are smaller in market cap. I believe most upside is in the tokens that are not yet completely owned by the market makers. If you got some value out of this video, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you in the next video or see you in premium. Cheers.